Welcome to another episode of Mary Heaton What's Next. Today we are going to dive into the, the mysterious world of Italian espresso. So I'm going to cover 2 Moka machines and also how to make iced espresso all in one video. So this one's definitely worth watching. So if you are Italian, grew up in an Italian family or not, you're going to recognize this little guy here. It's the Bialetti Espresso machine. This is the original. This is the one that probably 90% of Italians are going to swear by. That's the best one. In Italian, they would say the one cupido. That would be in Sicilian, which means the one with the little character on it. Now, over time, you're starting to see a lot of other espresso machines that are popping up on the market that don't have the Bialetti on it, and we're going to make both of them and see the difference in them. So the first one is, even though they're both considered a 3-cup, and we're looking at 3-cup espressos, and ironically, a 3-cup espresso will actually make closer to 5 little espresso cups. I'm not sure why they call it a 3, but that's what they call them. This one is smaller. From a weight standpoint, the weight on this one is much heavier. So you could tell that it's designed with a lot more steel in it, but again, we're going to see how that's going to influence our flavor. Both of them work with the exact same mechanism. You have your top part, which is where the espresso will come out from. You have the bottom part, which is where the water goes into. And then you have this part right here. This is where you measure the espresso in. And I'll show you how to put the water in. And the same thing, regardless if it's the more expensive one or not, same features, same one. So let's pause a second and I'll show you how much water to put into each one and how to do the espresso as well. Okay, so here's what I've done so far. And I'm gonna ask cameraman, my husband, to key in. You'll see that they have this pressure release valve in them. And I filled both of them right to where that pressure release valve is. And put water in it. It's not hot water or cold water, pretty much room temperature. And then we're putting this into both of them. Now this is ground espresso. I would not recommend using any coffee but espresso grinds in it. And you want to definitely fill it enough to where your espresso is going to have a good thick aroma to it, but you don't want to overfill it either. And again, if you grew up in an Italian family, oh my gosh, the conversations of you're supposed to press it, put a couple holes in it, you don't press it, is probably what you've heard for a good portion of your life. Right, I'm going to put the same amount on both because again, we're going to do a comparison even on how quickly they cook using same temperatures. And I did measure out the water on them. This takes about 9 ounces. That one takes about 10 ounces of water. I think just a little bit more here so that they look a little bit more equal. Perfect. So that's how easy this is. Now we're going to take this. There's actually, you can see this, that ring on it is a kind of like a washer, and it works so you don't have an overflow on it. You want to be careful on how you're putting it on so that you're not dumping the coffee out. And we're going to tighten it. So here is my Bialetti. Here is my Ivana. They're all ready. We're going to pause a second and I'll show you how we're going to see which one comes out quicker. So here's my scientific test here. So I have an electric stove. This is not my home stove. It's my vacation home. I prefer cooking on gas, but that's just my little rant for the day. Both burners are the same size. Both burners are on number 8. We are going to put one of them down here and one of them down here, both of them in the same position. So what happens is as that water heats up and it brews, it's going to come in through the coffee up until the top part of the coffee machine, and that's how we get our espresso. But what you also want to do is you want it to come up, but as it's starting to brew, I'm going to reduce the heat on both of them at the same time so you get that slower brew and you get more of the aroma and the flavor. So let's sit here and let's wait for the espresso to come up. So pretty crazy because they're both making the same sounds. This one here, the lighter one, and my guess is that the lighter aluminum heats up faster with the water, is starting to come out, and you can see that slow brewing. So what I need to do is now turn that down to about a 7 so it doesn't come out too fast, and we're within seconds. So this one here, we'll turn it down to a 7 as well. Can you hear that percolating? Just shut it off. And this one's done. So I'm not looking for a speed with the coffee. I'm looking for a quality. So I have to wonder if the fact that this one is slower is going to give it a better brew. So we're going to have to do the taste test after all. It smells so good here. If you could smell this on video, you would be with your cup in hand ready to have an espresso. All right, so we'll close that, give it a couple more minutes. By the way, there are little aerators that you could buy to put on the top that allows you to keep the lid open as well. So you could watch that. And turn this guy off. And there it is. So let's take a pause and I'll show you the pouring into the cups to see if there's any consistency differences. One thing that I did is I did stir a little bit the coffee with, just the bottom of a spoon to make sure that both the stronger and all of the coffee is going to be consistent in flavor. So here's a pour. And because I'm going to be drinking both of these, I'm going to pour a little bit less. You would normally do double that much for espresso cup. It might seem small, but if you don't believe me, go give it a try. You will get your caffeine fix. So I'm going to say that they pour about the same. They're both staining the cup. Okay, I might be a little bit partial, but to me, the red one is staining the cup a little more. Let's try a flavor test on it. So here is my Cabana coffee pot. Very good, smooth, no burnt flavor. Good aroma and everything. Stain on the cup like you want to see. And here is my Bialetti. Same thing, good aroma, same flavor. Wow. I'm gonna have to say that although this stains the cup a little bit more, exact same flavor. Primary difference is I think you're gonna get more life out of this one from how it's built than you would out of here. From a price difference, you're going to spend at least 2 to 3 times more on the Bialetti than you would Cabana. And by the way, this is a decent espresso machine as well. So if you get with the really cheap one, you're probably not going to have the same results. But they're very close. Again, I'm partial to this one. This is my special pot that I use if I have guests, and this is my everyday. So now let's go to how we make the iced coffee. Final stage, and now making the iced espresso. So I've let these cool down a little bit. You're gonna need a shaker bottle. It doesn't have to be anything like this, but definitely something with a tight lid. And this has one of those little shaker things in the bottom so it could froth up. I put in about 4 spoons of sugar. It's up to you how much. You take the espresso, dump it in the bottle. Take the other espresso, dump it in the bottle. Put the lid on, shake it before you serve it, and there it is. Now normally I would serve cold espresso in shot glasses, but you could also make affogato, which if you go to a restaurant you're going to pay at least $5 for, but you can make it at home for much less. And what it is you take a little bit of vanilla ice cream, you pour some cold espresso over it, and you put whipped cream on it if you like it, or little almond shavings, either way. If you want to get really creative, you could put a shot of espresso on ice cream and add some Bailey's or some Kahlua. Kahlua is phenomenal. That would be called Kahlua Express. And that's it, folks. We did the espresso review. Enjoy. Drink your coffee.